You're doing great. These are exactly the things I want us to get from these stories and really understand the power of a commitment, this big one decision that can guide the smaller decisions of your life. I think you can see now it made Jacques Lucien who he was. It made Bucky Fuller who he was. It makes us who we can be by having that kind of a commitment and letting our actions be guided by that. And particularly, given being women and Asian, there are stereotypes. There are things that we've been taught culturally not to do. How many of you have been trained not to brag, by the way? Don't talk about yourself positively. That doesn't exactly get you promoted. Have you noticed? It's not. We have to be aware of what our gifts are and let people know what they are. Otherwise, we're defined by something other than what we might choose. And that, I think, is one of the things that Jacques Lucien teaches us. And that is our way to be able to speak about what it is that matters to us, what we're good at, to lead with our gifts. I literally have an example of this there's a class that I teach at the Institute. It's called the Year of More. It's this great year program where people are learning all these skills to have a great life, and they have assignments and different things that we do. And last week was Share Your Gifts week. They have an assignment every week. They were to discover what their gifts and talents were and let people know what they were. It made a huge difference in people's lives and their relationships. And then we had a little talent show back at the class, a little talent show that each small group had a winner and they had to come up with this little talent show. It was amazing the kinds of things that people let us know about themselves, things I had no idea. It changed my perspective of every single person. I saw them differently. And one, as I was thinking about today, and one of us, I've just known this one man as this nice little Asian guy with the big glasses. Well, this nice little Asian guy with the big glasses got up there with the Rubik's Cube, and we'd messed it up really badly. And in 2 seconds, it felt like, it was actually less than 2 minutes, but his hands were moving so fast that I couldn't even see them. And people are clapping and hooting, and they're counting down, and he's got this Rubik's Cube like that. Well, what message did I get from him about him when I saw that? What do we know about him now? He's brilliant. He's brilliant. Now he's the brilliant Asian guy with the big glasses, But there's more to him. And also his wife is in that class, and I saw her just adoring him and smiling and just being so proud of him. And now, I see him with this love in his life. He's a multi-dimensional person to me that I want to get to know him more, and I can see his gifts, and I want a lot for him. Just out of him sharing that gift and letting people know more what it is he had to contribute. How many of you could use a little nudge that way? Yeah, these people are back there going, you could use a nudge. That's one of the lessons here, is to define ourselves with these bigger commitments and let people know who we are and what's possible, and let people know our dreams. Or even ask, I don't even think I'm dreaming big enough. What do you think is possible for me? Where could I go? What are the opportunities? How could I make that happen? How did you do that? These are the kinds of questions to be in your workplace. And I'm going to give you just a little piece of another story, and then I'm going to show you something, and then we'll have questions and answers so you can apply this more to your own life, and we can define it for you a little bit more. But I want to tell you a little bit more about my own life. Are you okay if I talk about myself? All right, I'm not going to tell you a whole long story or whatever, but I just want you to know it's not just these people out there. It's something I've had to do and chose to do. I'm so thankful for in my own life, and that's how I discovered personally the power of a one decision. I grew up in a factory town. I grew up in Flint, Michigan, which Money Magazine at the time called the worst city to live in the United States. It's where I am from. It was a General Motors town. It was a union town. And at the time I grew up there, 80% of the people worked for GM. And most of them on the line, on the factory, and the assembly lines. So what I saw were people that just had the same kind of routines every day and weren't so thrilled about that quality of life. I watched them leave the factory at the end of the day, all kind of drained, and go to the corner bar or go home and flop in the lazy boy and pop a brew and try to chase the tedium away to get ready for the next day. Now, I know none of you have ever had a mood like that, but do you have friends that have done something like that before? Yeah. So, and I watched it and I was like, there has to be something more to life than that. And I tried to figure out what that was, because I didn't, people could say, oh, just wait till you're an adult. And I'm like, well, why? What is that? That doesn't look that appealing to me. And I'm trying to figure out, how do you get more of a sense of life? It didn't feel like that's how it was supposed to be. So I realized one of the things I could do is I could study. So I became a good student. And I got all A's, and I was first in my class every year, and I graduated as valedictorian. And that helped me because I was stimulating my intellect. That helped me a lot. But it really didn't do what I hoped that it would do. It helped, but it didn't change that much for me. I wasn't that happy. I felt pretty empty inside. Because at the same time I'm studying and doing all this, and when I was also a valedictorian in a town that didn't value intellect, so that's a little difficult as well. And in fact, they wouldn't let anybody know I was the valedictorian. It's like, because they didn't want anybody else to feel bad. So you get my culture now, like where that's at. So I understood that, intellectual stimulation was good. It made me feel better. I was learning and growing, but it still didn't make me a whole person. And I couldn't figure it out. Now I'm also, not only am I was a student leader. I'm trying everything I can to have more of a sense of interaction in my life. And it helps, but I still feel empty inside, kind of numb. And I'm also fat. So I'm eating, I come home from school and I'm eating tons of cookies and drinking milk and blabbing out until I rally myself to go study and get those A's that I was getting. Anybody relate to any of this? Do I have any overachieving fat kids here? Can I see? Are there any overachieving fat adults? It's all the same for all of us, this kind of thing that I had to work with. So, I'm still struggling, and there's more to the story I can tell you at another time, but part of it was that I kept that formula going of a success and achievement, but emptiness. And some of you may know that one on the other side too. And I couldn't find the formula. I thought if I lost weight, I'd be happy, so I finally lost weight. I was an overachieving, unhappy person, thin. And that didn't do it. I thought it was a guy. How many of you thought that? Come on. I know. Maybe if it had been the right guy at the time, but it wasn't. So it wasn't it. I tried a lot of things, and it wasn't it. I kept doing the formula that people I thought were telling me to do, so I'd be happy. And I wasn't satisfied. I was successful in my career, but I wasn't successful as a person. And I was very empty, and it was very difficult for me. And I continued that as a young adult. I achieved career success very rapidly. Actually, I'd risen to the top of my career in 2 different careers by the time I was 28. And I had media attention. People were coming to study with me. At that level, I was doing beautifully, but I still had this deep emptiness inside me. And I was also in a university setting, and I was doing some great work and research, and I loved it in then I'd be happy. If I had the right body or the right guy or the right job or enough A's or enough success, then I'd be happy. It was only when I faced this, and it was a very dark time for me because I thought I had the formula right, when I really faced it and some things helped me to get to that I realized I was sick of sleepwalking through my life. I was not willing to live that way anymore, that I was going to be present and engaged and awake in my life. I was going to make a difference, and I had no idea how I was going to do that. But by God, I was going to find out. And luckily, I did. That overriding commitment helped me to shift the quality of my life. I still was able to be successful, but I started to do the things we saw in the movies. I started to become more real. I started to become more genuine. I started to open my heart more fully. I started to be more present instead of just trying to be controlled and cool all the time. I started to let people know who I was and what I needed and what I wanted. I started helping people more mutually rather than, oh, I'm the expert, let me help you. I'm on my path too, you're on your path, how do we help one another? Things started to shift for me. My dating life changed. I found my Mr. Right. Literally, my name is Judith Wright. I married Bob Wright. And I learned about love. I learned about success. I learned how to have more energy. I learned about the power of being real and learning and growing. I've learned a lot of things that I'm still learning, and I am not perfect because I gave that up. That wasn't it. But being real was. And it's that kind of power of a one decision that started to guide me. It helped me to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? Where can I go? How can I have this day be more satisfying? What should I wear today? If I'm going to be genuine, I don't want a costume. I want to be myself. What I go to have a meal. What can I, if I want to be clear and present, then if I'm eating 5,000 tons of donuts and whatever, I'm kind of, that makes me unclear. When I don't tell the truth, I'm foggy. All these things started to help me guide these smaller decisions of my life and really help me understand how to go about my work life, how to contribute to people, what to wear, what to eat, who to hang out with, what to do, and to come here to Abbott today. A good choice, don't you think? I think it was a good thing for me to do that. And that's how I want you to understand this power of the one decision. And it goes a little decision at a time. Each of us has it within us to make this choice to a quality of living that matters to you. It's personal. You will have yours, I will have mine. They tend to fall in categories. It could be that for mine, it's, I'm present. Being present matters to me, being engaged. For another, it might be to be a man of integrity. For another, it might be a woman with an open heart. For another, it'd be to live your life as an adventure, or to live with truth, or to be a vessel for spirit, or to make a difference. Those kinds of things all can be one decisions. Get busy living, get busy dying. The big one decision, Shakespeare had it right. To be or not to be. That is the question. And will we be ourselves fully to become the person that we've been intended to become? Find out the gifts that we have. To use this overriding decision to help us sort through our work days, our career path, our choices, both at work and at home. So I'm going to leave you with these ideas for a moment. I'm going to give you another way to see how this plays out. We're going to go to the media for a bit and close this up for you to be in this bigger picture. Then we'll open it up for questions so that we can apply it more specifically to you. And that is my question to you. What will you choose to become the great person that you are destined to become? To guide your days, to guide your decisions, to have your most fulfilling and satisfying life possible, both here at work and at home and in your communities. That choice is there. Try one on. This minute to tonight. A great default one decision is I will live my life as an adventure, because it helps you make choices or take a risk you might not otherwise. So use that one if you can't think of another one, and it'll guide you to whatever it is that you need. And please experiment. Talk about it at work tomorrow. The next time you get together with the team, what's your one decision? What appeals to you? How can we live that today together? How can we make this meeting more about truth or passion or satisfaction? How can we have that be that way? It can be a guiding principle every single day of your life so that you too can become the hero of your own life and a contribution to all of those around you and to become the person that you came here to become. That's my wish and my hope for you. And I thank you for choosing to be here today. And I encourage you to make that bigger choice so that every day is a magnificent one that you deserve. And thank you. Thank you.